welcome. I got a new ocarina.
I know. I'm super excited. So first off, listeners, our Lodians, our lovely Lodians, thank you. We are both super duper fans of The Legend of Zelda.
Very much so that it lately, like, earworms have just been, dude, it's so fucking nerdy. It's like only been the Ocarina of Time soundtrack, but sometimes it's also as the prog rock version.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for showing me that.
Please go watch that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing. But so I'm working on my Ren Fair, Renaissance Festival we have here in Charlotte outfit, which is Link, except my version is Lunk.
Okay, tell me about Lunk. Let's tell our lovely Lodians who Lunk is.
Listen, I got a sweet tunic last year, and in the tunic shop there was a sweet hood, and I was like, okay, I had already had this blonde wig, and it had nothing to do with me. I was just trying to figure out, all right, I want to dress up for Ren Fair next year. What am I going to get? And it just came together. I was like, well, this is obviously turning into Link from Legend of Zelda, and I'm not like quite there, so I feel like I'm more of a Lunk than a Link.
You're Link if he was a hunk. You're Lunk.
I mean, that's flattering. That's way more fun. That's way more fun than what I was thinking. I did buy another wig though. I'm becoming more a Rose.
Oh,
yeah,
I love it.
It's the wig from like Breath of the Wild, so it's like it's got the cool hair.
Ooh,
and so I might have elf ears now, and I might have a potion satchel, and I might have bought a sword. Ty, a lot has happened this past week.
My kid is now fast asleep, I can pour myself a glass. But too many shows on Netflix are trash, it makes me wanna pass. I can't figure out what to watch, what am I supposed to do? Let's get drunk and rewatch cartoons when we were little dudes. Whiskey-lodian.
Hey, you know what's also fun? Another week of Whiskey-lodian conversations.
Absolutely.
And we're drinking something quite delightful right now.
Well, thank you. So, Lodians, we are drinking a classic Manhattan. So we are using a whiskey. We're actually using Henry McKenna. I did not have a rye on me, but...
Oh, you didn't have what on you?
Rye.
Oh.
It's typically done with the rye whiskey.
Right, yeah.
But we did Henry McKenna, sweet vermouth, Angostura bitters, and we have a lovely cocktail cherry in there as well.
That we should, save till the way end? Is that the idea?
Yes. We'll say that at the end, let it soak up. Mm-hmm.
Nice and soaked like a Mormon.
But yeah, so not only do we have that, I also have made some Manhattan bonbons. So this is going to have that cocktail cherry syrup.
I love bonbon Saturdays.
We're going to have actually a whiskey gel in there.
There's a whiskey gel in there?
Yes.
How do you make a whiskey gel?
Xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum.
Xanthan gum.
Yeah, you can actually buy that in the store.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know, of course you can, but it just seems like one of those things
you
that
can buy it
have
in the
to
baking
special
section.
order or something. But
no, it's just in the baking section of most. Like I got this at fucking Walmart.
It's a binding agent?
Yes.
Okay.
So literally, I just took an immersion blender, blended that with whiskey. And it's very small amounts. Like I think for the half a cup of whiskey I used maybe an eighth of a teaspoon. So it's very little amount, but then it thickens it up like a gel, and it's held. Like it's held pretty well.
It's used in a lot of stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's used as a binding agent to kind of help things.
A lot of sweets,
to emulsify. Yeah. Gotcha. Even savory stuff too.
Oh.
So at that point, I also made a sweet vermouth ganache.
Okay, tell me what that is.
So sweet vermouth is what's used in Manhattan. It's basically a... is it a fortified wine? I'm going to have to use one of my research things just to make sure I know.
I don't remember how many research things we gave you or what we're calling them. Research things?
Yeah. You think, I think you gave me like 10. Yeah, it's a fortified wine
10.
That's infused with like herbs and spices and other like botanicals.
All right, that's one.
So I was right, but yeah, that is one.
10 total? That seems very generous. I think you're lying. I think you
said 10, but then you honestly cut me off at like 7.
I think you've seized an opportunity to increase the number because you know I damn well forgot what that number was. So 10 being an arbitrary number, you know you won't hit that limit. It won't matter. We're gonna knock that down a bit. We're gonna make it 6. Do we agree?
Fine.
That means you get 5 more. You get 5 more.
I will acquiesce to your request.
Well, that's a good word. We'll make it 6.5 then. Figure out that half one. I'm not going to. You can, but you can't look it up on how to use a half.
But that would then use my...
I know. Poetic irony.
You've tricked me.
I love your new little chode mic.
Yeah, so I finally got my own mic, a lovely Shure mic that is just probably 3 inches smaller than your mic.
But yours has the girth.
Yes.
So we complete each other, apparently.
It's not as big, but it's girthy.
Yeah. It's adorable, and it sounds very good.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, well, the voice coming through it is what I mean. Sounds good.
Oh,
How about that? One day we'll be on video, and you'll be able to see it.
Yes, and then you
Our
can both
VHS
be like,
camera
yes,
failed us, though.
But,
all right, you're reaching for those bonbons.
Yes.
All
so, what we want to do with this one is we actually want to take a sip of the Henry McKenna side piece we got. So that way, well, first, did you already try the Manhattan?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So now you know what it tastes like.
Yep.
You're now going to drink with your Henry McKenna and then have the bonbon.
All right.
And then have another sip of the Henry. So that way you can then say, oh, hey, does this feel like an actual cocktail?
These look so beautiful. You took a picture of these, right?
Yes, I did.
Good. Yeah, we have like a lovely purple and like, I don't know, like Caribbean blue, like cyan, honestly, like ink cyan, like beautiful swirl.
I had to mix colors in order to get these colors. So I'm feeling like, ooh.
Oh, just the look. All right, I'm going in.
Go on in. And he smelled it first. I don't know why he smelled it. It's chocolate.
It seemed like the thing to do. He's done it again.
Mm-hmm.
He can't keep getting away with this.
Oh, but he always will.
It tastes like I sip from the Manhattan.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, there's like a little cherry note in there. Just a little note.
Well, there is that
fuck,
cocktail
that's
cherry
good.
syrup in there.
All right, describe this for us.
So, we have a dark chocolate coating that I did paint on the outside, the purple and you called it cyan. There we go.
Cyan, Caribbean blue.
I like that.
Yeah.
So at this point, you get it, and the first thing you're going to get is really the spurt of that whiskey gel. So that comes in first, and then you get the cherry, and then as you taste the ganache, you'll start getting to that sweet vermouth. It just kind of all melts together.
Yeah. It did a whole like choreography on my tongue bone. I said what I said.
You did say what you said.
You want to look that up?
No. I know it's a muscle.
I could just spread so much misinformation right now. God, that'd be mean though.
That would be mean.
I'm a benevolent podcast partner. So, we are revisiting a fun show.
Yeah.
That we talked about in season 2.
Yes. So we are making our way back to the adventures of Pete and Pete.
We sure are.
And it still holds up.
It does. I mean, like, I'm remembering like how bizarre of a show it was. When we were watching it today, I was like, wait, are we doing this for our Let's Get Weird? That's going to be next week.
Yes.
But Ty, you were like, yes, no, wait, no, yes, no. This is just Pete and Pete. We'll see where the conversation goes, but it honestly, it gets like lots of bizarre points from me.
I mean, yes,
but I think that's just the show,
and
right?
like it's just because you have Artie, this made up like. This person that is a part of Little Pete's imagination.
But he's real.
Strongest man in the world, but everyone else can like see him and interact with them.
I don't really understand his deal. I think I said that to you earlier.
I don't understand why they allowed him to wear those pants and like let his bulge like hang out. It's,
his Shure microphone is receiving inputs.
You're so proud of yourself for that line. Like here's all I know is Sean really is like feeling what he just said. Like he'll pull away and he just smiles ever so briefly. Is like, damn it, I'm funny. And then he'll come back as if nothing's wrong while everyone else is just laughing hysterically.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just eat a bonbon and you never know what's going to come out next. He is a strange lad.
Yeah. But they're all kind of strange in their own way.
All of the parents are. I think we talk about this in every single episode of our podcast. Just parents in Nickelodeon are written in a certain way.
Yeah.
Either they're not paying attention to their children or they are, and they are just so left field from, I guess, reality they're just so divorced from reality, I think.
Yeah.
And you kind of just ride the wave, but it's always we're following Pete and Pete, not mom and dad and grandpa, which I guess we'll talk about later.
Yeah, ooh, that was creepy.
We'll talk about him
We'll
later.
get there.
We'll get to Gramps. But which one are we going to do first? We're going to talk about 2 episodes today.
Yeah, so the first one we're going to cover is Hard Days Pete. This is season 1, episode 13. And so the whole premise is that Little Pete controls an underground radio station, Wart, along with Artie.
Well, W-A-R-T.
W-A-R-T, the Wart.
You got like a whole choir to do
I
his...
know.
We need that.
We do. Like...
Listen, choir, why haven't you sang
Danny
for us yet?
Tamborelli, why haven't you sponsored us?
Yes, sing for us, Danny.
But yeah, so Little Pete controls this radio station, and he then decides to start his own band. However, the neighbors aren't too tickled about the racket every day and night as they rehearse. Now, that's just the summary, but that doesn't really do it justice. Because really, this isn't the story about Little Pete starting a band. This is a story about Little Pete finding the first love of his favorite song. Like, this is the first time he's ever had a favorite song. And it's a journey into this, and it's a beautiful story, really.
Yeah, it reminds me of like when I started understanding that music would like meant something to me. It wasn't just like a background noise that happened, right? It was like, oh, wait a second. This is important. I need to follow it a little bit more and see what unfolds.
That was kind of how it was for me with food. It's like I just food was food, and then I had to learn how to make it myself.
Like, it's there, but
then I had something that was truly like delicious, and I was like, holy crap, and I can make this.
Right. Okay. Wait, I want to hear about that though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do a quick little tangent.
Yeah.
So this was when I was living in Alaska. And so this, again, was when I was Mormon. I did a Mormon trip up there, but I learned how to cook myself. And I would meet people who would then say, oh, hey, you got to try making this. And so, like, one of the first desserts I ever made was an Oreo truffle, where you're basically taking a food processor, cutting up and, like, breaking up a bunch of Oreos, cream cheese, and then you're coating it in a chocolate cover. So that way it's kind of like an Oreo cheesecake bite. And from there, that kind of started this whole thing of, I want to learn how to make these different desserts. And I made like a chocolate version of a tres leches. It was my triple chocolate yoo-hoo cake. And then just kind of went from there. And the same thing with savory foods. I started like taking online classes on the science of cooking to kind of understand like, hey, this is why this works. So
much like your food journey, all it took was a spark. One recipe or one meal or one dessert, you tried it and you realized, wait a second, I can do this too.
Yeah.
So I think Pete had the same journey.
So his journey was a little different, and I also kind of fell into that, but we'll get to that point later on. But that's
we will,
because it was very much of, if I can't find this, I'm going to do it myself. And that's the pettiness involved to be like, if I can't do it, find it, I'm going to do it myself. That resonated deeply in my heart.
I bet. Well, it's paying off.
And I love it.
Yes. My taste buds, thank you, my lord.
Oh, you're welcome.
So how's this thing start off?
So we're going to talk about some fun facts, because there are some fun facts about this episode.
I'm excited.
So one of the characters in this episode is actually his math teacher, Miss Fingerwood.
I will try to be mature.
So first off, Miss Fingerwood's name was originally Miss Fingerhut. And then, according to Chris Viscardi, who's one of the creators, Nickelodeon objected the name on grounds that it sounded dirty. So then
Fingerhut?
Yeah, Fingerhut. Not sure why.
What does it sound like?
I don't get it.
Okay, carry on.
I guess that's a Posey reference, because this is the Fingerhut.
Guess.
I don't know. It's weird.
I've never thought of it as a Fingerhut,
but so the character or the actress that they got in, who's actually a musician, and I'll get into that one, she suggested, which is arguably the more dirtier the name, Miss Fingerwood, and then defended it, stating that it was the surname of a friend.
Oh.
So, like, yeah, I have a friend named Fingerwood. Yeah.
So this is fine.
First off, we don't know. We just know that's what she said.
Sure.
So she could have been lying, because this is even more dirty.
I think it's no argument that Fingerwood takes the cake, takes the dirty cake.
It does take the dirty
I mean,
cake.
I love it. I laughed and looked right at you, and you shook your head at me. I was like, I'm sorry. I can't help it. It's not even supposed to be funny. It just is.
But yeah. So Miss Fingerwood and the electrician, the meter reader, they're actually real professional musicians that were brought on to be part of the band.
I was going to ask you if that was the case.
Yeah. So Sid Straw, who played Miss Fingerwood, she was backup vocals for Pat Benatar and was also a member of the Golden Palominos with REM frontman Michael Stipe.
Wow.
And then the meter reader was Marshall Crenshaw, best known for his hit Someday, Some Way. And then he's also done music for numerous film soundtracks. So,
I mean, we're going to talk about the end of this where we get to hear those vocals. But yeah, I was wondering if they were professionals.
Yeah.
You have cleared that up for me.
You're welcome.
I didn't say
yeah,
thank
it was. I'm just insinuating that you should have said that. But getting back into here, thank you. So getting back in here, so both the meter reader played the guitar, and then Miss Fingerwood played the bass. Both of them, I couldn't quite tell if they were actually playing the music or if they were just singing along, because definitely Pete was not really playing the guitar. And then the drummer, with only a snare drum, was not obviously doing bass and cymbals as well.
Oh, but he was somehow.
And in his heart of hearts, he was.
Yeah, in his heart of hearts.
So the song that Pete falls in love with is called Summer Baby by the band Polaris, which, if you remember that name, Polaris is the band that actually does the opening song.
Indeed.
And it's fun. But they actually had to change... They had to change one line of the song because it was an explicit sexual reference.
In the theme?
No.
In this one?
Yes. And I have not had a chance to take a look and be like, where is the line they had to change? Because
that seems like that would be hard to find.
Yeah.
We can use our imagination. Because what are the lyrics?
I don't know, but I'm not going to look it up. I'm not going to waste that. You little trickster.
I mean, isn't it like nobody knows? And then
I was there, but nobody knows. And
yeah, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Basically, on repeat, so many times.
So the original band playing it wasn't repeating that, but that's the only part that Pete could like remember, and that's what he hung on to. So we start off. We got Pete. So Big Pete's actually narrating, and I feel like he narrates all the episodes.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's every episode. That this one felt like Unsolved Mysteries. The way
he was like
his delivery and the framing
mm-hmm.
of it all. I felt like, I think they were going for like a VH1 making of the band or something like that vibe. Because he does narrate the episodes, but this one specifically, I remember looking over at you and like, dude. What's happening?
Is this when he gets murdered?
Yeah, I don't know. It was like every line was.
It started on one day in his Radio Shack.
Yeah, I think I saw what vibe they were going for, but yeah, it certainly had that murdery vibe. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen.
It kept you on your toes.
It did,
and maybe that was the point.
Maybe.
So we see him running his little radio station, and of course. At this point, we're like, oh, hey, he's loving talking to everyone. He's got a little microphone. He's got basically some antennas so he can broadcast it. He's basically using a walkie-talkie.
Like taped to a...
Yes.
That's
Walkman.
What my first high school band did. We like taped a mic to a tripod. We've talked about this on the podcast, and then it was hooked to a karaoke machine.
No, this is news. This is breaking news.
I mean, that's basically it. It was a shitty mic tied to a tripod for like a still camera, and then that had a cord going into a karaoke speaker.
And now we're here. Who would have thought?
Here we are. Just lads with a little baby mic and a other baby mic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, his whole setup reminded me. I was like, okay, yeah, this I'm vibing with this.
Yeah. So he was having a great time talking to random people who would call in. But then like people would call in like, hey, can you play like this song? Can you play like Marmalade Cream? And he apparently did not like music at this point.
Didn't seem to. He seemed to take offense.
Yeah. I was like, get a life, jerkweed.
I do love that. I mean, don't be mean to people, but if you're going to, maybe Jerkweed is a.
Let's bring it back.
I'm bringing it
Because
back.
I feel like I've heard that in like the Home Alone movie.
Maybe it seems like something Kevin McAllister would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he wouldn't take music requests.
No, not at all.
Just hung up on his callers.
And then he had a segment called Scab Talk,
Sure.
which at first, when I first heard that, I was like, are we talking about like the film industry? Or are you just talking to scabs this early? And no, literally just scabs
Scabs.
from injuries. And then we had the electrician coming in, the meter reader, as he was called. And it's like, all right, I'm with this guy who's a meter reader. And he's like, yeah, I'm just trying to look at the meters to check the energy. Is it here? He goes, no, it's outside. Oh, before you go, do you have any cool scabs? And he goes, yeah, I got one that's in the shape of a dump truck.
Sure enough.
And then shows it. And sure enough, it's literally like someone took a dump truck thing and then just stabbed him with it.
Looked like one of those little tattoos you could buy at the grocery store.
It had some texture, though, so I felt like it wasn't like just a tattoo.
It was the henna version.
Ah, good
A
call.
little high end.
See, man, the people running these films are just top notch.
Yeah. I didn't have anything to add. Well, I started looking at my cherry and I stirred my Manhattan, and you had said everything that needed to be said. But it's a podcast, so I gotta say things. I feel like we talked about that at one point, like during the off season, where like someone's just sitting there and observing. It's like that's good in real life, but it's like, yeah, active listening doesn't show through a microphone. No. You should still participate in active listening, but when you say something and I respond, yeah, isn't this making for an interesting podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So he's got a pretty sick setup, all things considered, for a radio, for a children's
for
radio
a
show.
garage radio station.
But still says no to music requests. So we get introduced to his neighbor once again in this episode.
yeah, of course his neighbor was like, maybe you should get a live Drain Brain. And
Drain Brain.
it's not as good.
Jerkweed takes the
Jerkweed absolutely
Jerk cake.
takes the cake.
yeah.
And then we get a surprise call in. And he goes, all right, listener, what do you got for me? And she goes, oh, I can't believe I'm on here. Well, this is Miss Fingerwood, your math teacher. And if you don't get to class on time, your chances of passing are going to be risen out to 451 to 1.
Yep.
And of course, he's like, oh, that's all, folks, and runs off. And it blew my mind because as he's racing on his bike, it then cuts to the math teacher, and she's like, what if we have a 10-year-old kid who is racing a mile and a third, like 1.3 miles to get to school
At 15 miles per hour.
15.4 miles
Tops.
per hour.
Yeah.
How quickly can he get to the school? And at that point, she doesn't answer because it cuts to Pete going, shortcut, and
Yeah.
takes a shortcut. And then he runs into Polaris, who's there just playing that song. And he just stops and listens and falls in love with it. I was like, all right, you're going to be late, dude. Like, I know, but that was the first time he actually fell in love with the song, and it changed everything for him.
Yeah. It's his performance was really good. You could see like the awe and wonder in his reactions here.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, like it took me back to like, I don't know, like seeing my first concert or anything, my first musical experience, like listening to or like me and my brother playing the guitar in the living room to Wild Nights by John Cougar Mellencamp. Like it took me to those places where I could see that in his performance, and I was like, yeah, dude, like this is what it's about. So I'm glad this episode exists for that reason.
Oh, for sure. It definitely hit that. And then you have Big Pete saying, like, look, like whenever you hear something for the first time that you fall in love with, you want to hear it on repeat over and over and over again. And that's the same thing. So we have Pete, like, little Pete singing the song. We don't even see him make it to the school. We then just cut to, like, him, like, trying to, like, find it. So he's getting his mom to use her brain plate to scan the airways. He has Artie, the strongest man in the world, with a inflated crotch for some weird reason. And he's now racing to try and check all the news stations or radio stations to see if he can find the song. And, like, nowhere can they find it. And, like, on one hand, I'm like, look at you trying to find it. On the other, deductive reason would be like, hey, if they're playing in a garage, maybe it's not recorded. And to be fair, he did go back to that spot to see if he can find them again, but they weren't there.
Were they real, or was this a metaphor for kind of you writing your own song?
Oh, that's interesting.
It's not clear.
No, it's not clear.
I mean, we're going to talk about this sequentially, but I mean, we don't ever see them again.
Well, remember, because he comes back to try and see with them, and there's a pick.
There's a pick there.
Yeah. So that's his only thing that says, hey, this wasn't just my imagination.
I still wonder if that's coincidence. Because picks kind of do just, you just see them, and yeah, they're like...
that's an interesting
theory. They're like Tupperware lids
like
or the other sock.
I like that a lot, because it's like, what is inspiration, but just thinking you might have saw something already happened.
Yeah, because if you think about it, he's doing something he's passionate about, this radio show. Being interrupted. That flow state is now interrupted because he has to go to class. It's something he has to do, and it's something he doesn't want to do. I think in between that like sense of enjoyment, that flow, and having to be interrupted by the complete opposite, which is something that doesn't give you joy, you're still, I think, looking for the thing that gives you the most fulfillment. And maybe in the middle of that journey, maybe this is way too, I'm overthinking this, but maybe in the middle of that journey, that's where he like, maybe music started coming into his head because, yeah, people are requesting it, but maybe like it, I don't know, something awakened in him in that moment. I don't know. Or maybe he did stumble upon a group of dudes in the woods in a garage playing a song.
I mean, the house was in the woods.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm probably overthinking it, but
fair enough.
Yeah.
Because that then comes to the point where he can't find it. So then he's like, you know what? I'm going to learn it myself. And so he convinced his parents to let him get a guitar. They were hoping he would get a clarinet.
Would have been a great choice, too.
Yes. But then he'd probably do like more jazz, which is nothing wrong with jazz.
You seemed offended by your own pronunciation of jazz.
No, it's I was quoting. There was a comedian, Zoltan Kaskas, who has this bit where they're talking about getting the vaccine for the first time. And his wife was like, okay. And her nurse was like, oh, this is my first time giving the vaccine. He's like, if that was me, I'd be like, no, it's not. I'll wait for anyone. I'll take the druggie at under the bridge because I can at least trust him to get it right. And he goes, all right, you can keep the belt on. We're not listening to jazz. And I was just regurgitating that because it just kind of came to my mind.
Gotcha.
So.
I was like, I think Ty likes jazz.
I love jazz.
I thought you might. This music was definitely, the song that he hears is so perfectly in its 90s alt-rock, the indie
punk.
I wouldn't go punk.
You want to go punk?
No. But I would definitely say it's like in the Smashing Pumpkins vein.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. It's very much a product of its time.
So then he gets a guitar, and he's now learning how to play that. And then he gets a band involved, and somehow he got his math teacher involved, who's playing the bass. The meter reader came back playing the guitar. He's got a kid in his neighborhood playing the drums.
Logic has no place in this conversation.
There's no logic here.
No.
He's now started a band. And of course, the parents are like, "Oh, this is so loud," and the neighbor who was like, "Oh, those dang kids!" And he is a mad and sad man.
He's a mess. Yeah, you almost pity him.
You do, absolutely, because he's like, you have no, you're so mad at him for starting the radio station, but you're still listening to said
You're still
radio
tuning
station.
in, my man. Like, pick a lane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, like, the math teacher was like, hey, well, first off, she was like, what is it? Heart plus soul, or heart times soul equals rock and roll.
I mean, pretty good. I liked it.
You kind of went, ugh, you rolled your eyes.
I did because it was so bad it was good. Like, her character is, everything she says is very much, she's only a math teacher. That is her only one dimension, ironically, that she lives in.
Yeah, and it was actually hilarious because she's like, I mean, can we play something else? I know one is the loneliest number.
The way she counts people in 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. So, so she is math.
Yes.
Yeah.
Math is her.
Math is her.
And so at this point, they're trying to help him memorize. So like, hey, if we play the same 4 chords over and over again, maybe you'll remember the song. And it doesn't work. So then you had the neighbor finally like, I'm going to take matters in my own hands. And he calls the dad. And apparently it's like the international...
parent conspiracy, or was that
adult
was
conspiracy?
Adult conspiracy.
Yeah, international adult conspiracy.
Yeah.
And so the dad's like, well, I don't want to be a bad guy, but also I hate bills. And somehow this band and radio station has costed him $700 just in electricity. And so he's like, look, unless you come with the money, you're going to have to go somewhere else. You can't do this here. And that's when like he's realizing, Little Pete's realizing, fuck, I don't have anything I can do. And Big Pete takes pity on his brother. He's like, hey, can I get you to play Marmalade Cream? And he's like, suck dick, dillweed.
He says that.
And he's like, I'll pay you $5 for it. And that's when Little Pete's like, oh, you're being a sweet little millennial.
Oh. Well, that light bulb moment.
And also give him the light bulb moment. So then they start playing songs and put out, it's like, hey, give us recommendations of songs you want us to play. Just pay us for it. And if we can't play it, we'll pay you. And so they start taking requests, and they're doing a lot of songs, and they are not good, but still, they're playing it. People are loving it. People are still like, hey, I'll pay you $30 to play this song. Oh my God, it's free bird. And they finally raised like a shit ton of money. Like they were able to get to like, what was it? $500.
$500.
And then the neighbor was like, I'm shutting this thing down. I want you to play
Surf
Fun, Surf Play, or whatever it is.
Sure.
It sounds like
it was
surfing
basically
song.
That. Yeah.
And they're like, we don't know that song.
Dude, the problem gets introduced, or the problem gets introduced, and then so quickly, this there's no tension here.
No, not at all.
I mean, like
immediately Artie comes in.
It was like, oh shit, they're curveball. Like they're gonna have to pay up. But yeah, like you just said, Artie just stage left, boom, in.
Comes on in. Doesn't even have an instrument.
Just
but somehow starts to play it.
Or
his dancing and his air guitaring. So he's like air guitaring and playing the music.
Yeah, and it influences the band to figure out how to play this request.
And then the neighbor starts dancing. He goes, oh, I love this. He says, all right, we're at $6. We just need $100 more. Who's going to be a hot caller? And the dad's like, oh, I am. And he was like, hey, play the song that my wife and I got married to. And so, of course, they start playing it. And you have the parents dancing. And then you get to like a silhouette of them in the window. And as we're watching it, Sean's like, and then you see one of them slowly lower down. And
could you imagine? Nickelodeon, I wouldn't put it past.
No.
I wouldn't put it past him. The dad is like, oh, I should have told him the bill was $1,000.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I should have scammed my kid out of this.
Scam your child. That's a
healthy relationship.
Not good parenting, but it is Nickelodeon parenting. So he does it, right? He hits 700 and
700.
And then what does he see that makes him change his
So he
his
sees
heart a little
how
bit?
these songs make other people so happy. And honestly, it bums him out. Not because he doesn't like making other people happy, but he realizes until he can find that song, he won't be that happy. It's kind of a really like disheartening moment for him. And he walks away while everyone else is still like playing and singing and having fun. And then he gets back to that garage where he first met that band and is able to open the door, which before it was locked, so I don't know what changed there. But he plays and realizes he only remembers one note. Just a single note.
One.
But apparently that note that he played was enough to draw everyone else towards him. So Artie and the gang came in, and they're like, how'd you find me? I was like, we just followed the note.
Follow the sound of your single cry.
And at this point, like, Little Pete's kind of lashing out. He's like, hey, let's play together. Rock and roll doesn't die. He's like, fuck all the way off. He
so
was
offended
so mad.
by it.
He was.
Yeah.
He was like, I don't care anymore.
The drummer was such a little sweetheart.
Yeah.
He always said nice, supportive things.
And that's when, like, Miss Fingerwood and the meter reader were like, you've been trying so hard to find the song. Maybe it's time to let the song find you. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know what the fuck that means.
What the fuck are you saying?
So he literally walks out, ends up stopping right in the same spot that he initially saw the band, And it all floods back in. And at that point, he then remembers. And he starts and he sings a little bit of the song. And then he goes into the chorus. And it literally ends with them repeating the chorus on repeat. On repeat.
On repeat and Pete.
On repeat and Pete.
If you will.
But yeah, we did it, man.
We did it.
Well,
I liked that episode. I really did.
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So bizarre. I'm serious. The ending, I think it went on for like 2 minutes of.
Yeah, it was definitely them singing the chorus for about a minute and a half straight.
Yep. I was like, well, maybe there's a bridge. Maybe there's a bridge.
There's a bridge, right?
Please, there's a bridge.
Right?
For the love of sweet fuck, where's the bridge? The bridge never came. Just underwater with the longest outro. But a great episode.
It was a great episode.
Yeah. I think I'm overthinking the metaphor thing.
It's still a very interesting concept because it kind of challenges the idea of where is inspiration coming from.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that idea, but you probably are overthinking.
Yeah, it's a fun thought experiment. We're going to do that from time to time.
Because we're thinking.
And I'm drinking.
And welcome back to Getting Gosh Darn Cooked with Dinslow Tripletooth. I want to dive back in with our next question. Rinkydink 384 asks, Dear Dinslow, my girlfriend just broke up with me because she says we're only in 3rd grade and we shouldn't be trying to date. How can I win her back? Well, Rinkydink, it's never too late to learn yourself on sauces. A good sauce can save a rather bland meal or take something ordinary to extraordinary. The tricky thing about a good sauce is, if you're not careful, the sauce will break. That beautiful mix of liquid and fat will separate and just make a mess out of everything. There's a way to save a broken sauce, though. A sauce will break because your ratios of fat and liquid are off. But by adding either more liquid to balance the fat, or more fat to thicken the liquid, and of course, by putting in the work to remulsify it, you can save that broken sauce. I'll also tell you that it's a lot of effort, and you both have to decide if it's worth saving that sauce. I hope that helps, Rinkydink. When we come back, Chadbro69 asks, Am I the asshole for refusing to stay by my wife's side while she's giving birth when I can totally be having fun anywhere else? But before we get into that, a word from our sponsor. Yum whiskey, 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 fuckity fuck. These fucking clowns.
So now we get to the next episode that we're going to cover, which is When Pete's Collide. This is still season 1. I believe this is episode 12.
Was the last one we talked about season 1?
Yeah, both of them were season 1.
Okay, so that is why I was wondering why they kept talking about Mom's Plate. I'm like, Mom's Plate is like, we know what it does.
Well, I mean, it's an actual character. Like when they introduced the show.
It 100% is, but I think season 1, obviously they're trying to set up what its purpose and what it can do and what it is. And I noticed they just talked about it a little bit more. And I forgot how early we still are in the journey of Pete and Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when Pete's collide, I know you got some fun facts.
Yeah, this is I couldn't find any fun facts for this particular episode. So this one is the grandpa comes into town and they're trying to figure out who gets to have Dad's bowling ball. And that is it. Yeah,
that's
it. That's
all right.
We
will see you next week.
That's all, folks. And so at this point, you literally see Big Pete and Little Pete, and they're meshing so well. Like they feel like they're friends again. And I don't remember seeing this in the other episodes, but this is the first time they were like playing together and enjoyed being around each other. They weren't having their own separate journeys; they were together.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this point, they go to bed, and then it looks like it's in the dead of night when they get woken up, and their dad's like, "Hey, I need you to come downstairs."
Yeah, it's like 3 a.m.
Yeah.
Why not?
And so at this point, like they're coming down and everything's dark. And then you get down there and there's this like looming, hulking figure in a jacket, like who's darkened out and you can't see who it is. And it's like, all we knew was this is the guy that fixed our like dishwasher. And then it turns out, no, it's his grandpa.
And by hulking, I think you mean the Bruce Banner figure, less so than a Hulk.
Yes.
I mean,
well, so when I say hulking, I mean like they make his shoulders look a lot bigger because they're angling down, so they make him look a lot larger.
Oh, maybe I missed that.
And really, he's smaller than their dad. He's a frail old man, but the way they angled down, that made him look like he was this looming figure.
I feel like I was making tea at that moment.
Well, that's okay. Sometimes we need tea. Sometimes we need coffee. Sometimes we need
whiskey. So
but that grandpa was creepy as fuck.
Grandpapa is
creepy as fuck.
The strangest thing is when I was watching it, I was like, this is a really good, like, they did a great job casting. He doesn't look like Dad so much as he looks like Big Pete. Like, Grandpa looks like Big Pete, and I think Dad kind of looks like Little Pete. Did you notice that?
I did not notice that.
I think it was very intentional casting.
I was like, this guy looks like a Woody Allen from Wish.
I mean, I don't want him to be my grandpapa.
Yeah.
Yeah, or anyone's grandpapa, for that matter.
Definitely creepy.
No offense, dude, but
and then also, like anytime he was around, he was like, "All right, well, you're my little boy again, Dad." So like, I guess I call him Spunky and
Spunky.
And at this point, it's like, hey, we'll continue once Spunky here spits out his gum, and the dad kind of reverts to his child, where he's like, "Oh, I don't have any gum." And
it was a nice moment. That part.
Fair enough. At that point, he ends up spitting the gum, and it's like, why the fuck do people who insist on like taking the gum, like put it in my fucking hands?
It happens a lot in pop culture or TV and film.
And it's so gross. Why?
I don't think I've seen anyone. I mean, maybe I have, but I don't think I've seen that many people ever request for gum to be spit. Like when you had to spit out gum in class, like you went to the trash can.
Yeah.
I can't believe we're having this conversation.
But we're having it. This is what happened in the show.
Yeah, spit out your gum, but I will throw it away for you.
Yeah. Ugh.
But don't do that. It
was very gross.
Listen, children. Obviously, if you're listening, you got to fuck off. But if you are, don't spit your gum into strangers' hands or grandpapa's hand.
Yeah. They'll spit in other people's hands.
Don't do it.
Put it under the desk like a normal kid.
So okay, Grandpapa, he takes his gum and then he chews on it and some, gives it back to Dad. Dad chews on some, then he gives it to Mom chews on it. They spit it out someone's hand. It's some weird.
They're literally birding the gum.
They're baby birding the gumbus.
And so at that point, they're like, hey, here's the reason why we've called you down. We have come to a conclusion that your dad can no longer play bowling with his bowling ball, which is fondly named Rolling Thunder.
Well, and the way he introduces it.
Yeah, it's like, you know that your mom is the love of my life.
However.
But there is another. And she kind of looks at him like, the fuck you trying to say?
Yeah.
There's Rolling Thunder.
Because I don't think she is privy to what is happening either.
No, she's not.
She's with the Pete's, just kind of like, what the what? Like, it's 3:30 in the goddamn morning.
Yeah. And so at this point, they're like, all right, now we got to figure out which one of you is going to take on this because my fingers are now too fat to fit in the holes. And so both the Pete's were like, the Big Pete's like, yeah, Little Pete can have it. Little Pete's like, hey, you can give it to charity. They don't give a fuck about
go back
bowling.
to bed.
They go. They literally like, all right, well, that's all it was. Bye.
See ya.
Hopefully you stay, Grandpa. And they all go to bed just fine. And Grandpa's like, I'm going to have to take matters into my own hands.
He's always lit strange in this one,
yeah.
I feel like.
It literally
like
feels like a horror movie. Yeah, like a villain.
Yeah, it felt like an episode of Are You Afraid of the Dark a little bit.
It did feel that way.
Yeah.
Honestly, he would be a great character for that show.
Perfect. I bet maybe he is. I wouldn't be surprised.
I would not be surprised either.
Yeah.
And so at this point, they are now just having their time, bonding together, and the grandpa comes in and he goes, I need to tell you about this bowling ball.
Doesn't the ball roll?
Yeah, the ball rolls in and like, the fuck is
thunder?
this?
Yeah.
And then the grandpa walks in and he goes, let me tell you the story about Rolling Thunder. This was a gift to my dad after I fixed someone else's like faucet, whatever it was, dishwasher
in Tibet or
yeah, it
something.
was a Tibetan monk, and we like fixed his dishwasher. And then he gave his dad, like, the kid fixed it, but he gives the bowling ball to the dad, and then it's passed on to the son, and then passed on to the son, and now it's going to be passed on to these kids. And so at that point, they're like, yeah, it has magical powers for good and powers for evil. Like, they kept setting this up to have, like, a super dark tone that I'm like, something mysterious is about to happen.
It won't. It doesn't.
It won't. You will feel so disappointed.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's just, payoff setup errors. Little 404 on the.
They already recorded. Nickelodeon's like, no, this doesn't work. This is too dark and too whatever it is. You got to reshoot, and they're like, fuck.
What if we just cut it out?
Yeah,
yeah, and I think he hands the ball to Big Pete, and it awakens something in him.
yeah, because now he lifts up, he stands up, and it's like, all right, pretend to throw it. See how light it is. He pretends to throw it, and he goes, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And then he hands it to Little Pete. Little Pete's like, oh, this is amazing. Like, both of them are like, all right, we absolutely have to have this. And it's the classic tale of, hey, two friends find something they both want, and now they're fighting over it. And the fighting gets pretty creative.
Like, it does. Because it could have gone in any direction, but it goes in the only
direction.
one that Pete and Pete knows how, which is silly.
Yeah.
And fun.
So it's like, oh, hey, Big Pete's going to do the chores that Dad wants him to do. Well, Little Pete's going to go ahead and show him a video footage of all the great moments that Dad has. And then he's now having like a political attack.
Oh, we get smear campaigns.
Oh, we get smear campaigns, and it's amazing.
It's so good.
I fucking love it. At this point, it's like, oh, Big Pete broke the vase and lied about this and did this and steals notes from other kids. Like, is this who you want to have your bowling ball? You need someone trustworthy. And then it has Little Pete dressed in a fucking suit. Like, to the nines. Like, he is.
Paid for by the campaign to give Little Pete the bowling ball. It's very creative.
Oh, it was so much fun. I loved it.
It kind of keeps going, too. I guess they have a... Because this episode starts with a staring contest, which kind of seems like a throwaway.
Does it start with the staring contest?
It's somewhere in the beginning.
Okay.
They're just having like a... honestly, it seems like a throwaway, but it comes back later because...
That's where they finish.
They do a... It's not quite a staring contest, but it's like... I called it like straight face contest.
It's a straight face off.
You try to make someone laugh. And then whoever breaks... You don't not even laugh. Like we played it to where like if you smirk or you show any signs that you are finding this humorous, you lose. I guess that's what they were doing.
Yeah, that's what they were doing because they were like, oh, well, now I'm wiggling my ears. I know I'm making arrugas. I'm like, all right, Big Pete, you're better than that. But yeah, they have this whole thing, and it's not even just them. Ari's getting in on the action. Ari's sitting there like, I'm going to fight this bowling ball. And then, of course, he tries to fight the bowling ball, and next thing you know, the bowling ball's sitting on his throat.
Yeah. Not on his bulge. Not to be confused.
Oh my goodness, thank goodness.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the grandpa who apparently can see Artie was like, you're a brave man,
can see
foolish, but brave. Which is like, how the fuck is this imaginary person that everyone can see that no one has a problem with a bulge in his pants hanging around an 11-year-old kid? That's so weird.
He was doing like a power pose on the front porch.
Yeah.
Earlier in the episode when they walk outside. That's fine. This is all right. This is perfectly okay.
Sure, we now have a living gargoyle in our house.
Gosh, I mean, logic again. We're not inviting logic to the party.
No.
But could you imagine their reactions in life to see something like that? You would get two reactions, right? You'd get the obvious, like, dude, what the fuck is going on? And you get the other, which is like someone who's like a diehard Nickelodeon fan. Like, that's funny. Actually, no. What the fuck is going on?
But it's crazy. So even the dad is like, hey, this is driving my kids apart. And the mom's been like, honey, this is bullshit. Why are you letting your father walk all over you? And then why also are you letting this ruin our children's lives?
Ty, what does she do next?
She pretends like she's gonna jump off. No, not jump off. She basically goes outside. She's standing out there with her head plate. And it's like, hey, lightning's gonna strike me and
summoning
explode me in the smithereens unless you fucking do something.
She's gonna fucking kill herself.
She threatens to kill herself. Nickelodeon, what is this?
That was it's fucking dark, man.
It was hella dark, and then Dad's like, "Fine, I have to do something."
If you don't fix our children, I'll fucking kill myself. Do you hear yourself? That brain plate, it's got a mind of its own.
Yes,
I guess that's how that works. Yeah,
it was fucking nuts.
Yeah,
and so at this point, Dad finally goes and takes the bowling ball and tries to put it out. Like he's like, "All right, you can go. I wish you the best of luck," and he runs off, and he's covered in leaves.
Now get.
Yeah, get on, get. And he's covered in leaves for some weird reason. I don't know if he fell, but then like he comes in, and everyone's like, "Oh, the bowling ball's gone!" And the grandpa is like, "What did you do, Spunky?" "I didn't do anything." "You better tell me the truth." And that's when they hear the rolling thunder, and they're like, "Oh, it's rolling thunder," and it rolls into the house like a possessed ball of vengeance.
So I guess we kind of lied. Some supernatural stuff does happen.
Yes,
but not anything that
nothing with the grandpa that pans out.
It doesn't like develop a character. The ball itself, it's still a ball.
Yeah. There's no demonic entity that we're introduced to.
Yeah, it might be inside of that ball, but the ball can only still do what bowling balls can do,
which is lay on someone's throat.
It's like a boomerang ball, apparently.
Fair enough.
A possessed ballerang.
A possessed ballerang.
I like that.
Thank you.
Very well. Very well. Well met.
And so it finally gets to the point where they're now going to the final round. They're now doing the straight face-off.
So we got this happening upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
They're doing their straight face off. They're hallucinating.
Yeah, they're facing off so hard they're starting to hallucinate each other with different things. Like, oh, it turns to a Rubik's Cube, and then a trout head, whereas
Abe Lincoln.
Yeah, and then Little Pete sees his brother Big Pete as like a Mr. Tasty, the ice cream head, and
Nightmare Fuel.
Yes, and so at this point, the wife was like, "Honey, you have to stand up to your dad."
Right.
And he finally does. And he finally stands up to his grandpapa,
but
his
not
dad.
Before Grandpapa walks in with what, Ty?
Oh, milk?
And
it's like,
cookies?
drink your milk and cookies.
He's like, drink
hey,
it.
Who ate all the cookies? And he goes, you know what, Dad? I did.
This was done in one shot. He walks in, sits down. He's like, I have cookies. And then he goes, drink it. It's milk.
Oh, my gosh. So... To be fair, we watched it at a higher pace. We watched it at like 1.5.
Yeah, we don't do that, honestly. We never do that. But we were like, well, let's just see what would happen if we can. We got to get moving today.
Yes.
What would happen if we did that?
And honestly, even with the pacing, like if we would have had normal, I was like, here, this is just milk.
It would have.
It was so creepy. It's like we thought he was trying to poison his own son. That's what it came across as.
Which honestly, the dark undertones in this episode would have made sense. Yeah, that ball is no good, man. It's no good for you.
No good for you.
It's no good for you. So this part actually made me laugh a lot because he says Spunky one too many times.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Dad say?
Dad's like, I'm not Spunky. I'm Dad.
Yeah, my name is, Dad. I was wondering because I hadn't seen this episode, or at least I don't remember it. I was wondering. I was like, wait, does he have a? Nope, there it is.
It's just Dad.
It's just Dad and Mom.
And so he stands up to his own father. It's like, look, and like when you come to my house, this is my house. You can't force me to do shit. It's my house. And so at this point, they're gonna go up and call it off with the sons, with the Petes, and the Petes get to a point where they start cracking because they see each other. They no longer are hallucinating. They see each other for who they are and realize, I love you, buddy.
Kind of a sweet moment.
Yeah, and they start laughing together and playing together, and they open the door, and they're like, oh, we didn't have to do anything. They did it themselves. And then like, all right, we got to get rid of the ball. We can't handle this. This is too much. And so they teach Artie how to do a power swing.
Sure.
And all he does is he rolls the bowling ball, and it just rolls and keeps rolling for a long ass time.
They all see him do it. I mean, he's real. He's a real man.
He's a real man.
He's a real man in tight pants. He's not a figment of Pete's imagination. He can't be.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Everyone sees him. I'm beating a dead horse in tights, all right? Anyway, that ball rolls and rolls and rolls and rolls.
Yeah.
And this time it does not come back.
It leaves, and they are finally free of its dark influence.
What is her name? The friend?
Eileen. But they get to a point, like, when they're fighting, they don't even want to be around each other. So they have a system where it's like, hey, they don't talk to each other. One will eat at the dinner table when they're done. The mom will hit a buzzer, say, hey, you can come eat now. Or Eileen will send messages of, hey, you need to know this so that you don't run into the other person. And then, like, Big Pete comes and hangs out with her. And he goes, this is just ruining everything. And what does she say? Because
she's, okay, I'm going to talk about her message and her delivery, because the juxtaposition here, man, was, again, so dark and twisted. So her delivery, it looked just coming from a place of love and kindness. Mm-hmm. Just sweet, just like supportive, right?
Yeah.
I want you to picture what that looks like in your head. But then I want you to realize that she says, basically, yeah, who's best friends with their brother? It comes a time where that just has to end.
Yeah, like, oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm saying it in so many words, but
she says, like, just...
It was so sweet and horrible.
Yeah, I was like, like, it's great that you had a relationship with your brother, but, like, who's really best friends with their brother?
Yeah. Man, this had it all. It had betrayal. It had some supernatural, suicide,
This was like
Jesus Christ.
A Pixar movie.
Basically. It was a lot. I don't know. I don't remember what happens after that. The ball just goes, and
the ball just goes, and they live their life happily ever after.
So we are led to believe. Well, and then Grandpa and Dad make up. He goes, I was wrong. He admits that he was wrong. Spunk, Dad.
That was a nice touch at the end.
That's good. That's good writing right there. Yeah. Pretty strong couple of episodes there. Pete and Pete never disappoints.
Yeah.
I think you do have to suspend yourself from the reality that is the adults in the show are going to make you go, huh,
what are you doing?
What is happening? Yeah. Well, what you think? What you got? What's on your brain bone? What's left?
You know what? I never really watched The Adventures of Pete and Pete as a kid. Like, I'm watching it now and I'm like, I just fucking love this. This is fun. Like, it's not realistic, but we're not watching it for realism. Yes, it's quirky and oftentimes silly, but it's got a heart, man. And I love that.
Yeah, I think it knows it knows what it's trying to accomplish. And, well, what is it trying to accomplish?
Yeah, let's hear your dissertation. What do you think it's trying to accomplish?
I think it is about friendship. Which not a lot of content that I feel like I've consumed over the last several decades is always about friendship, but some of my favorite ones are about that. What about friendship? That's a lazy answer, but exploring that and allowing the imagination to kind of, I mean, that's Nickelodeon's kind of thesis, right? What happens when you let the imagination run wild? Pete and Pete we get that in a live action form. And it's just, I mean, it's not afraid to be weird, which is why I thought going into this episode today was a Let's Get Weird episode.
Well, we will definitely get weird.
We're going to talk about something next week that I didn't have much experience with. Do you want to give a little preview?
So we are going to get into a Seth Green biopic called The 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowd.
This was a show?
This was a show on Nickelodeon. Okay. It came out in 1999. But basically, a bully who's voiced by Seth Green is such a shit person that he gets turned into a dog until he can do 100 good deeds.
I don't know if I would do any good deeds if I got to be a dog.
Well, if you were this cute dog, because he's a Australian Shepherd Husky mix.
Oh,
it's super adorable. I'm like, why would you ever want to change? This is now your life.
I actually met a Husky last night. His name was Diego.
Oh, that's a
He
beautiful
bit me
name.
so many times.
Was he love biting?
It was.
Okay.
This was not aggressive, but he was very strong. And his love bites, I was like, oh, dude, you gotta stop. Oh my God, this hurts really bad. Dude, hey. I'm like looking over at, I'm in a billiards, of course, and looking over at the owner, and they're like, just kind of doing their own thing.
He's already claimed you as his own, so
This hurts so bad.
I guess I'll see you in the morning. I'll make you breakfast.
So painful. But okay, so 100 Deeds of Eddie McDowd.
Yeah, Dowd.
Dowd.
McDowd.
McDowd. I'm looking forward to getting weird with you.
Well, let's get weird, man. Honestly, I think we should probably end it with the bottoms up with the cherry.
Okay, let's do that. Cherries.
Cherries.
Just the tips of the cherries.
That's soaked well.
Oh, Mormons.
I reckon that's about all the time we have, folks. A buffet-sized thank you for our sponsor, Whiskey Lodian, and listeners like you for making this show happen. And for helping me realize that maybe I can re-emulsify things with my ex-wife, Delilah. I'm sorry I called you an ice-cold bitch, you saucy vixen.